Hello students, today we are telling and writing time. The purpose of this lesson is to use prior knowledge with time to round time to the nearest 5 minutes. We have two main learning goals today. Our first goal is to tell time with digital and analog clocks using AM and PM. Our second goal is to write time rounding to the nearest 5 minutes. Now, let's review. We have both an analog clock and a digital clock. This over here is our analog clock. There are 12 bolded numbers on an analog clock. The bolded numbers represent the amount of hours in a day. Therefore, since we have AM and PM, it goes around the clock twice. The tick marks in between represent the minutes of the 60 minutes in an hour. Over here, we have a digital clock. On the left side of the digital clock, the numbers represent the amount of hours. And on the right side of the digital clock, those numbers represent the amount of minutes in each hour. Now remember, with analog clocks, we always go clockwise. Clockwise means to go to the right. Therefore, we go this way. Then we will find out if it is AM or PM, dependent on the information given to us beforehand. On the digital clock, AM or PM is usually located right down here in the bottom right of the screen. So now let's begin. We will first start with an analog clock. To the left is an analog clock. There's the shorthand and the longhand of the clock. Now remember, the shorthand represents the hours. The longhand represents the amount of minutes. So we have 3 questions we should answer. Our first question is, what is the time? Well, the shorthand is pointing to a 5, so we know that we are at 5 p.m. because this represents p.m. Now, our longhand represents the amount of minutes. Our longhand is pointing to this tick mark right there. That is 2 away from the 7 and 2 away from the 8. Therefore, what time does this clock represent? So now, let's think about this. 5:37 p.m. 7 minus 2 equals 5. Therefore, the 7 is 2 away from 5:35. Now, 7 plus 3 equals 10. Therefore, the 7 is 3 away from 5:40. After doing those equations, we know that 2 is less than 3. Therefore, 7 is closer to 5:35 than 5:40. So overall, we would round 5:37 p.m. to 5:35 p.m. So now, let's do one more practice equation, but this time let's do it with a digital clock. Now remember, on a digital clock, the numbers over here on the left side represent the amount of hours. The numbers over here on the right side represent the amount of minutes in each hour. Therefore, we know that the time is 12:39. We also know that the time is 12:39 a.m. because we are told right here. So, let's do a few equations to figure out if we should round to 12:35 or 12:40. So, 39 minus 4 equals 35. Therefore, 12:39 is 4 minutes away from 12:35. Now, if we do 39 plus 1, that equals 40. Now we know that 12:39 is only 1 minute away from 12:40. Therefore, we should round 12:39 a.m. to 12:40 a.m. because it is only 1 minute away. Great job to everyone on our lesson today. Now let's review. What did we learn? We learned how to tell and write time rounding to the nearest 5 minutes with analog and digital clocks.